we know at least 90% of the risks, right?
The majority.
Yeah.
And that's not, the funny part to me is it was always, that's not how it's pitched. It's
the big secret is that most successful people will gladly share exactly what they're doing and will gladly don't care.
That's it. That's the abundance mindset. Go to one of the big commercial real estate brokerage firms, watch all the deals happen, be a part of all the transactions. I was able to have a seat at the table on over $1 billion worth of transactions. So I'm talking big institutional level guys and sharp individuals saying,
welcome to the Hidden Investing Show with Holly Williams. Holly is the founder of KeepMore.com, author of the Hidden Investing book, general partner in over $100 million in multifamily apartment communities. In addition to multifamily holdings, Holly has been a real estate investor for over 25 years. Now here's your host, Holly Williams.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hidden Investing Podcast. And I have a very special treat for everyone today. I have a business partner that I love and has just been amazing to work with. His name is Bryan Flaherty, and he is a Louisville, Kentucky native. Like most of us, he went to school, got an MBA, learned about the stock market. Then he actually went and worked on Wall Street and did all of that, saw the light, began to see the power of alternative investments and the real diversification goes beyond what we're typically taught, and got into real estate and was actually a commercial real estate broker and now a very successful syndicator. Started CF Capital with his partner. Well, I'll let him tell us all about it. I'll let him tell us all about how he got here and all about basketball. And because you don't live in Kentucky without basketball, right?
Holly, how are you? Basketball, bourbon, and horse racing. Come on.
Exactly right.
That's the trifecta here in Louisville.
First time I went there, I took the backstage tour of Churchill Downs. It was fantastic. And who knew, right? It was just like multifamily syndication. Who knew all this was there? That's
right. Hidden right here in front of your eyes.
That's exactly right. So come on, Bryan, what's going on?
Yeah, Holly, how you doing? Well, I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate the guests joining. Looking forward to serving some folks today, chatting a little bit about my background, my experience, how I, navigated my way into the commercial real estate world, and the tools that, you and I offer to investors, the tools that you and I use through some of our colleagues to kind of set ourselves apart and find that financial freedom that most folks are out there looking for today.
It is truly amazing, and it's there for everybody. And the wealthy have known about it forever, right?
That's right. For years and years, for decades, for generations, because that's what it took previously, was to be born generationally into one of those families to know about these different vehicles.
That's right. So talk to me about how, what role, you grew up in Kentucky. How did you went to University of Kentucky, did whatever, all the stuff you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, that's right. I was not born into one of those families, one of those generational families. I was like most of your listeners, probably. We were comfortably middle class. And so what that meant was, Bryan, you go to school, you get good grades, you get out, you get a job, you spend the next 30, 35 years climbing the corporate ladder. And then, son, you've made it. You get to sail off into the sunset. And that was my path. That's what I was doing. And to your point, I'm born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, went to the University of Kentucky, mathematical economics major, came out, thought, okay, I'm going to be an actuary. Actuaries do really well. They live comfortably. I start taking the exams, doing all that. Holly, yeah, I kid you not.
I was going to say that you're the brains behind the whole operation where you are now.
You're too kind. But in all seriousness, I get through, and after 2 weeks maybe on the job, much less 2 months, I'm thinking, this is not for me. Nothing wrong with that profession. There's a lot of folks that have done fantastic. They've thrived there. They loved it. It didn't speak to me. I knew, looking around, I said, this can't be it. Like, I've peaked. And certainly at age 22, I hope my peak is decades away from now, at that point. And I said, okay, well, as a good middle-class kid would do, what's the next step? Let's go back to school. Let's go get more degrees, because that's always the answer. And that's how we can accelerate, climbing up the corporate ladder. So it was, let's go to MBA school. I got my MBA through IU, top 20 business school. So it was like, this is perfect. This will set me up for ultimate success. While at business school, like a lot of young men in their middle 20s, lured by the bright lights of Wall Street and the big dollars there, and really worked for a firm that I owe a lot of gratitude from. And I learned a lot from them. But along the way, I kind of realized, like, this is a different game than everyone else is playing. And like, that game is so unique in both the way the money is raised and where the money is dispersed to, and then just how the businesses that folks are investing in are being valued. I mean, for instance, like you look at a deal, you underwrite, you look at a business, you underwrite the business, the economics are what they are. And the CEO comes out and says something goofy on CNBC and stock's down 20%. You're like, wait, what?
Or even if they say something good.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Or they back the wrong political, quote unquote, wrong political leader, this and that. And all of a sudden you're like, man, this is rigged. And then you start peeling back layers and you're like, well, wait a minute. Someone bought how many shares right before they went on? And that, someone made 8 figures of profit here based on that interview. And it just became this isn't, I liked it. I never loved it. Some guys and gals love it, and that's good for them. But I said, ultimately, this also is not where I want to spend the rest of my, tenure in the working world. And that's when I did some real soul searching to say, what else is out there? And, who do I want to align with? What type of individuals? And, success leaves clues, and it's what type of families and what type of business, professionals do I not only align more with, but what are they doing? Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Because it looks like I'm going to be doing the same damn thing for the next 3 or 4 decades, hoping to get to the point where I can at least keep my wife and I along until, we're 6 feet under. And that's when the commercial real estate light bulb really went off for me to say, like, wow, there's another way to do it. But then the question became, how are they doing it? Like, yeah, they're doing it, but didn't their dad do it? And didn't their grandfather before them do it? And it became this, well, I'm not one of the generational kiddos. So how do I break down some of those barriers and get into this industry and get into this field of hidden investing that you know all about?
I had the same questions. And the real killer was when I found out how much money the Wall Street guys really were making. When I ended up in New York, I mean, I honestly thought, oh, well, they're making a couple of $1 million a year. It's just insanity. And the fact that most of them, and this is just a wide, not everybody is making $20 million a year, but this is just a generalization. But I will tell you that they were for the most part, they were not going to their E-Trade account and buying stocks. The wealthy have access to a whole different part of Fidelity and
the parts that you and I don't know about. And to generalize, most folks in that field, most folks in that field are wonderful. I have friends and family members that are advisors, and they have the absolute best intentions for the clients that they service and they work with.
Sure.
We're talking about the 0.1%, the 0.01%, and the institutionalized versions. And I'm talking about the groups that are investing hundreds of millions of dollars into things like high frequency trading and the wires under the ground so that they can get there a millisecond before everyone else gets there.
They're also the hedge fund folks who, guess what? They own apartment buildings.
That's right.
They own commercial real estate. Yeah, go ahead.
That's where they're storing their wealth. That's where they're making it elsewhere, but they're storing it and multiplying it in the field that we're in.
So right. You were so right. And I've had people, many people, this is too good to be true. You can't, do this. All that we hear about is Bernie Madoff. And the best part, it's not insured.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part. And we're recording this in March.
And 2023. Timestamp it appropriately here. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I don't think that the banks actually have the money.
No. I think it's...
or the assets to back up that.
No, since we went to the fractional reserve banking, I don't think they've had the money for quite some time. And it becomes a scenario of, is there really going to be a run on the bank? And that's any bank right now. I don't think that's just Silicon Valley Bank. I don't think it's any of these other ones that are in the headlines. That's any bank right now. None of them have all the money in the background.
So my safe money, is as safe as anything. I mean, there are risks everywhere, but at least we know the risks.
Mm-hmm.
We know at least 90% of the risks, right?
The majority.
Yeah.
And that's not, the funny part to me was always, that's not how it's pitched. It's you, when you come into some of the deals that we do, excuse me, you're required to sign hundreds of pages of documents detailing it's this risky and this could happen and that could happen. Could they? Sure, all of it could. But I can get on my phone, download E-Trade, and drop 4, 5, 6, 7, however many figures you've got on any stock that's available to you. And there's no barrier of entry. There's no, this is risky. There's no, this is in your best interest to do, not to do this. It's just that you have to understand the game has been set up to funnel in all one direction.
And you have to work to find the terms and conditions. Now, compared to those hundreds of pages that you sign in a private investment, and I've done oil wells and all, all kinds of, so have you, right? And so we're not even talking just about multifamily.
That's right. Yeah.
Always, there's a private placement memorandum, whatever, and it's usually anywhere from 50 to 100 pages long. But a terms and conditions on any mutual fund, most of the time there's a summary on the website, and that summary is 50 pages. And then if you want the full terms and conditions, you have to write the company or special order it, and it comes like that. So we just don't learn any of this. And frankly, most of the financial advisors don't learn it either, because they went through the training program that they were given after they finished business school, just like me.
That's right. And this isn't in the mainstream. None of this was taught to me. Like, I'd consider myself somewhat of an educated man. None of this was taught to me.
Nothing.
No one came to me and said, hey, this is the 101 book of alternative investments. This is how you diversify because everyone thinks, oh yeah, I have a diversified portfolio. What does that mean? You put money in this stock, that stock, and this stock over here. That's not diversified. There's no diversification. It's diversified amongst companies, maybe, but it's not true diversification. True diversification is stocks and bonds and real estate. And to your point, other oil wells, it's metals, commodities, insurance.
What else do you do? And life insurance to back up so much of it.
Absolutely.
Right? And so how did you saw the light, you became a commercial real estate broker, and that gave you a bird's eye view. I think one of the projects that we purchased, you actually had brokered the deal.
That's right.
Before, several years prior.
That's right.
The people that you sold it to us.
Yeah, you got it. So when I was leaving Wall Street, I'll actually never forget it. My wife and I were on a trip across the pond. We were over in England. She was pregnant with our first child. And I looked at her and I said, sweetheart, when we get back, I'm leaving my current firm and I'm going to start and launch into commercial real estate. And she kind of paused and took a breath and said, okay, I trust you. Obviously you've thought this out. But in all seriousness, at that time I said, let's pivot. I want to get out of Wall Street. I want to get into commercial real estate. And where I want to go is what is now CF Capital. I had intentions to launch my own private equity investment firm to really put deals together, invest in real assets, invest in multifamily properties, and present opportunities, to investors that they wouldn't otherwise have. I knew there was a learning gap there, though. And I said, in today's world, the art of apprenticeship is almost lost. 100, 200 years ago, if you want to be a blacksmith, you went and worked for the blacksmith, you learned how to do it. then you spun out, you did your own thing, and you already knew how to. And I said, that seems like the logical thing for me to do is, hey, go to one of the big commercial real estate brokerage firms, watch all the deals happen, be a part of all the transactions. I was able to have a seat at the table on over $1 billion worth of transactions. So I'm talking big institutional level guys and sharp individuals saying, this is how you put the capital stack together. This is what makes up a good deal, a bad deal. This is the business plans we're putting together. This is how to finance the deals. This is how not to finance the deals. And really, again, it was my apprenticeship to say, hey, I want to see how everybody else is doing it. I want to understand who to partner with, who not to partner with, which is equally, if not more valuable than who to partner with. So that when we spun out and launched CF Capital, we had the playbook, and it was let's steal shamelessly from all these, very proficient and successful firms and, improve on it and make it our own kind of mixture and bring it out to offer to our investors.
And the big secret that I didn't know either, I thought I was the only one that didn't know all this. The big secret is that most successful people will gladly share exactly what they're doing and will gladly don't care.
That's it. That's the abundance mindset, And I always say,
exactly right.
Especially in our industry, anyone that's made it, like really made it, they had help along the way. It's whether or not they have the ego to, admit to that. But anyone in our space that's really been successful has had help along the way getting there. Because this is the ultimate, I always say it's the ultimate team game. No one can do this by themselves. And that's what we love about it. And as long as you're well aligned and have the same North Star and have that abundance mindset, like it truly is a giving. And we've learned a certain amount. We're still learning every day. And I want nothing more than to give it back to friends, colleagues, other individuals in the space, because there's plenty enough to go around for everyone. And the more that we give, the more that we'll end up receiving in the long run.
Even the people working in commercial real estate, if you go to any of the garden style apartment complexes that we've been to, and there's hundreds and hundreds,
mm-hmm.
You ask them, hey, who owns this? They'll tell you the name of the management company.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's hedge funds, it's Wall Street, it's A-Rod, it's...
Yeah.
And now it's people like us and people listening to this podcast.
Yeah, historically it's been reserved for that ultra high net worth and the institutions and the family offices that, work for the Rockefellers and those types of names. And for literally decades, individuals didn't have access to this. Like not only, even if you knew the right person that knew who was doing it, you still couldn't access it until recently. It's really been the last decade or so where this has been a tool. It's truly a tool and a resource that everyone, or most folks now, have the access to, which is entirely different than things have been for the past 100, 200 years.
So the internet has changed everything.
Yes.
And I think it's going to continue to change with a lot. You know how I feel about it. That's another podcast. The next
round two
of Web 3 or whatever they're calling it these days. But, and I think you're right about evolution and always learning. And I know I've learned a ton from you, but we couldn't have done, that's what I do is basically, it takes a village, and I was proud to be part of your, the last several deals there that we've done, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, the feeling's mutual there, and it might sound cliche, but my business partner, Tyler, and I, we both believe it. Like I always say, we don't have competitors in this space.
That's
we
right.
have colleagues. Like, yeah, on the next deal, could we potentially be bidding on it, against one another? Maybe. But the deal after that, we could go joint venture it together and do it together. And it as long as you go into it with that type of mindset, like truly, I really believe like there's no limit. Like not even the sky. The sky's not the limit. There's no limit on things that you can do if you have that right mindset with the right partners.
So you were looking for a partner. How did you find a partner? Were you doing your own thing? Did you start doing this while you were still a broker?
Complete dumb luck, Holly. Complete dumb luck. And to show that's right. And to show my ignorance from the beginning, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go I'm going to become the broker that's going to be known for all this, and I'm going to learn it all. And then I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be the one in charge and have my own firm. And again, getting back, it shows how green I was. Getting back to what I said earlier, it truly is the ultimate team game. And the more I got into it, I was like, okay, wow, I don't have to do all this. Not only do I not have to, I can't do it all. I wouldn't be able to do it all. If I tried to do it all, my investors would be in a worse place. My partners would be in a worse place than if I tried to do it all myself. So I think early on, I realized, hey, I'm going to need the right partner to do at least one right partner, and not to mention other, firms to partner with along the way. But actually, Tyler and I met at a CCIM class. And for your listeners,
CCIM for the people. Yeah.
CCIM is
one step ahead.
Absolutely. CCIM is really what we were getting was our CCIM designation, which is kind of like your master's in the commercial real estate space. You have to take a series of exams, you have to have a certain background and a resume, a track record, be a part of a certain amount of deals like that. And it's a great educational learning experience. Maybe it's getting back to that background that I had of, hey, just go learn more, go back to school more. But in all seriousness, Tyler and I met there. We had the same mindset. The other individuals that were doing the same work as us, Tyler, I should mention, Tyler was actually a broker as well. So I was brokering the sale of kind of larger institutional-based multifamily deals. Tyler was brokering the sale of kind of middle markets and private capital deals. So I always say it was same ballpark, just different fields. So we weren't really competitors, and we had reached a level of success that the other individuals that had reached that level of success, they were 20, 30 years our senior. And they came from the mindset of, you don't even look at your competition, much less talk to them, anything. It's just like, they're the worst, I'm the best. Like, don't share any trade secrets.
That is how I grew up.
Yeah. So Tyler and I were like, well, that's kind of silly. Like, you're doing it, I'm doing it. We can learn more together. So those turned into coffees and lunches and maybe a beer or two. And we kind of, after really, it took a couple years, and we were doing some things on the side. Tyler was doing a little bit of, his own, rolling up his own sleeves in some smaller 4-unit, 8-unit, 30-unit type complexes. I was investing with some colleagues that are, like CF Capital. And it became painfully obvious to Tyler and I. We said, hey, rather than us do all this on the side, we can do so much more and bring so much more to the table for other people doing it together. And again, I knew there was life after brokerage. Like, it was my intent to go in and launch my own private equity firm that again is now CF Capital. So it became one of those things where you said, hey, let's it's like the old African proverb. You can go fast alone, or you can go far together. And we said, hey, let's go far. Let's go do some big things together. Let's really change the way let's not just evolve and be evolutionary with this. Let's be revolutionary. Let's go and bring this abundance mindset to this kind of old school type of industry. And that took us about a year to kind of wind things down and really build the infrastructure of CF Capital before we launched it in January of 2020.
And so had you done a deal together before that?
We had not.
We officially launched?
No, we had launched the old-fashioned way, where we put things together on cardboard tables and in each other's basements, and it was a grassroots effort.
Right. And then, so what's next? You've done 3 deals now together?
Yeah. So our portfolio's probably plus or minus $100 million. And what we want to do is really grow and not grow just for CF Capital, but really the tagline of our firm is elevating communities together. Mm-hmm. And we truly believe there's a win-win-win scenario for everyone. It's our residents. It's the actual community. The type of communities that we acquire are typically have been let go. They're a little bit dilapidated, and folks haven't really believed in it or reinvested in it. So we said, hey, if we buy a community and reinvest in it, it makes it a better place to live, and that seeps down to our residents. One of our residents recently has lost all kinds of weight, and he told, and our property manager said, hey, you've been in here, you've been in the gym recently. What's going on? Because this is an obese individual. And he told our property manager, he said, no one's ever believed in me. No one's ever believed in this place, and everything that you guys are doing to reinvest in here, I need to reinvest in myself. So there's ways that we can give back to the community that's beyond just the dollar value that you get out of it as well. In addition to that, it's our investors. Our investors win because these are the hidden investments that they don't have access to, Holly, as you know. And we say, we can bring you an opportunity that you may not otherwise have. And a lot of the deals that we're buying, you might need $20 million in equity to buy this type of thing. We might have a handful of investors that could do that by themselves, but the overwhelming majority, they partner with us and the other investors, and it gives them the ability to buy into these type of investment opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. So you've got our residents, you've got our investors, and you've also got our staff. And I don't just mean the corporate headquarters here at CF Capital. I mean our staff, our boots on the ground, the leasing team, the guys in the maintenance office. Like, a lot of the individuals in our space take a little bit more slash and burn type of mentality, typical that, the private equity type of mentality where it's all about the bottom line. That's right. They're managing out of South Manhattan off a spreadsheet, and it's just numbers. It's not real people behind those numbers. And we feel if we reinvest in our team, not only does it make them better, it makes them, better citizens for their community, but we'll get a better return on our investment for both our residents and our investors. So it becomes this triangle, kind of this looping circle of everyone wins together between our residents, our investors, and our staff, our team members.
We're in it. I know you've got personal money in every deal, and as do I. And I was talking to an investor yesterday, and I was like, we're all in this.
Our money sits right next to all of our investors, and I've been guilty of siphoning money out of Wall Street, just like some of our other colleagues. But given my background, that's where I had a lot of my wealth, stored for years. And every year, a little bit, as that grows, because I'm pulling it out and saying, give me that back and put that into my deals, into my real estate, and in all seriousness, not just mine, but in our colleagues, in deals that similar firms like CF Capital are doing in different markets, to say, get it out of the casinos, the Wall Street casinos, and get it into Main Street in these real estate deals.
I feel bad. I was just talking to Tyler actually about a couple hours ago about, you're looking for deals. So I know that, and very excited about that. And I'm like, I'm thinking, and I've had a brainstorm just about 30 minutes ago. I said, I did all this loss harvesting. Sure. Tax loss harvesting with my stocks. And I love my financial advisor. He's a good friend. He's a great guy. And I feel bad, but every time I talk to him, I take money out. And I'm like, well, we haven't really started buying back in. So why don't I just use some of that? And it's poor thing. So my next call said, Bill, okay.
Yeah.
That stuff we sold, just go ahead and send me a check.
That's great. That's great. Well, it's good that you have. I mean, getting back to team members, he's a team member for you, though, and all your team members should support you as the end investor. And, it's one of the great things about real estate, in addition to the cash flow and in addition to the appreciation, it's all the tax benefits that come with it as well.
He feels that way, too.
Yeah. That's the other thing that they don't teach you growing up, is all the tax benefits that come along with some of these hidden investments. And ultimately, as you know, and as we believe within our firm, who cares how much you make? It's how much you keep at the end of the day. It's the most important thing. And some of these tax benefits, I mean, we have friends and colleagues that are like, hey guys, I know you all are all going to do well with the returns, but I'm getting crushed on my taxes over here. I have to have that paper K1 loss. I know you guys are paying us monthly distributions, but what I need is that loss I get to take to my accountant. So on April 15th every year, I get to write down big gains that I got on this other real estate deal, or this other investment that I've got in another alternative space.
That's exactly right. So and when you start talking to people that aren't aware that this exists or don't trust, because all we hear about is Bernie Madoff. That's all that makes the news, and that's true with just about anything. But we're not teaching our kids in school how to learn, think critically about it, and that's kind of what you have to do. And so it's been such a gift to be in this industry and to know people, and it started out as a mindset, just helping a friend. And that's how it sounds like that's how you started investing in syndications, was as a passive limited
Absolutely.
partner.
It was. Yeah. Because again, I wanted to know, like, hey, if I'm going to do this by myself or, through my own firm, CF Capital, I want to know what it's like to sit in the limited partner, the investor's shoes. Like, I want to know what it's like to be treated well. I want to know what it's like if you're not getting the attention you need, and really kind of get the peek behind the curtain. Because again, not only do we invest in our deals, but we believe wholeheartedly in this space. And I invest in with other operators throughout the country. And so does Tyler. We live in Louisville, Kentucky, and we've got deals that we invest in, in the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest, the South, further in the Southeast, markets that we don't personally, have exposure to through CF Capital. We go through other operators to get it, because that's kind of the nature of all this. It's in the operators that we invest in Phoenix and places like that, they invest back in our deals.
That's
in
right.
Kentucky and Indiana and Tennessee.
Places. Tribe that we've got here, and it's really a special thing. So speaking of the final special thing, probably the most special thing, you have a supportive wife we know about. What else is going on on the family front?
That's it. Without my wife, I would not be here. I wouldn't be able to do all the things I can do today. And she is, she's an amazing woman. We have 3 beautiful children at home, 2 little boys and a baby girl who will be 2 here in about 3 weeks.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm a very, very blessed man. And outside of my faith and my family, I mean, this is it. Like, that's those 2 are, top of the charts for me. But right after that, it's investments, it's apartments, it's macroeconomics. Like, that's the story. That's pretty much everything that takes up all my time.
Well,
where I like spending my time.
Which is fabulous. And we appreciate you spending time with us today, sharing what you know. And there's more to come, I'm sure. And it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, it is exciting. It truly, as long as you go to it with that giving mentality, like I said earlier, the sky's the limit. And there's so many people out there that need to know this type of information. I don't care who they invest with, if it's us, if it's you, if it's all of us, if it's folks that we know, they just need to know about it. A light needs to be shined on this, type of space and these alternative investments, these hidden investments that are really tools and resources that everyone should have access to, and that they should not be reserved for just the quote unquote elite few.
You're exactly right. And so with that, I think that's a good place. I'm going to put down below all the ways that people can get in touch with you. And I just can't wait to have you on again in a little while and see what's been happening between now and then.
It's going to be fun. I mean, they say, decades go by when weeks happen, and weeks go by when decades happen. And I feel like we're in one of those timeframes right now where decades are happening as we talk, here in the first part of
March
2023. So yeah, let's do it again sooner rather than later, Holly.
All right. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Hidden Investing Show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with your friends and family. To get an exclusive gift, visit hiddeninvesting.com.